Every 24 years. Oh, I thought you were leading with an argument and we should. Okay.
All right, it is 5:30. Appreciate everybody being here. We're going to go ahead and get started with our pre-meeting work session for our 6 o'clock meeting. Approval of minutes. There were no changes. Any questions? All right, set public hearings. Ordinance 24-4579, approved rezoning request 142124, Moulton Heights, Habitat for Humanity. Public hearing set for April 1st, 2024. No changes. Any questions? Resolution 24019, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 1616 Danville Road Southwest. Public hearing was set for February 5th, 2024. Any questions? Resolution 24020, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 609 3rd Avenue Southwest. Public hearing was set February 5th, 2024. Any questions?
Yeah, is the property owner going to be here for that one tonight?
I'm sorry,
Is the property owner going to be here for that one tonight?
I do not know.
All right, any other questions? All right, ordinance 24-4576, approved rezoning request 141923 for property located at 1306 Somerville Road Southeast. Public hearing was set for February 5th, 2024. Any questions? Resolutions. Resolution 24034, approve special use permit for T-Mobile to modify existing tower located at 2611B Highway 31 South.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24035, approve surplus of vehicles no longer needed by Environmental Services Department. Any questions? Resolution 24036, declare surplus of equipment no longer needed by the Landfill Department. Okay, any questions? Resolution 24037, declare surplus items no longer needed at Annex Building. Any questions? Resolution 24038, authorize purchase of vehicles for various departments, and we did have a addition.
We do have one update, change in last week's work session, and in the resolution, we're requesting for one van for DYS. We've had some transmission issues on one of those vehicles as early as this week, and so we are amending that request for 2 vans for them. We do have it already budgeted, and so that would bring our total to, if we add that, would bring our total to $497,088. So we're still below $500,000.
And that vehicle is not being driven right now?
Correct.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 24039, award bid number 24004 for right-of-way maintenance to Thrive Outdoor.
No changes.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 24040, approved budget amendment for police training facility awnings. Any questions? Resolution 24041, approve acceptance of public use and maintenance for Old River Manor, a re-subdivision of Lot 1 of Morris Brothers subdivision. Any questions? Resolution 24042, approve acceptance of public use and maintenance of Old River Manor A, re-subdivision of Lot 2 and portion of Lot 2 of Morris Brothers subdivision. Any questions? Resolution 24043, approved proposal with TTL for 2024 air compliance assistance with the Decatur Morgan County Regional Landfill.
No.
Any questions? Resolution 24044, approve application for Alabama Historical Commission grant to expand the 2nd Avenue Historic District.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24045, approve application for an Alabama Historical Commission grant for a conditions assessment for the Carnegie Library.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24046, approve moratorium extension for study of build-to-rent regulations and related issuance of building permits.
That was added at the request of the Planning Commission to extend it another 6 months. My thoughts are, if you choose to do this, that it won't take 6 additional months to come back to the council and first to the planning commission, then to the council to come up with a new ordinance. But anyway, that was their request. They formally made that request.
All right, any questions? Resolution 24047, approve Safe Haven Baby Box Program appropriation.
There's no change to that.
All right, any questions? Ordinance is first reading, ordinance 244580, approve amendment to Code of Decatur, Alabama, section 24.5 for repossession of motor vehicles.
We adjusted it based on last Monday. We moved up the 30-minute notice prior to attempting the repossession. We now have the vehicle color and all that description in there. And then we adjusted if they are successful, they would share any difference than what they first presented. In other words, if they found out the vehicle's description was incorrect, they can change that or the location and those kind of things. But we just basically flip-flopped the two.
Okay.
And this is in line with what other cities in Alabama have done. In fact, it's almost verbatim what they've done, except some don't require the 30-minute prior notice.
Yeah. All right, any questions? All right, was there anything else that needed to be added or changes that any directors have? All right, we will get started at 6.
All right, we'll be back.
Call the meeting to order. Jeremy Sherrill will lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Lord, we love you and we are so grateful for all your blessings and benefits that you load us with every day. We're honored to live in and work for a great city, and we want to make it better and better, and we need your help to do that. And so we pause to recognize you today and ask for your grace and ask humbly for your wisdom and direction. And we thank you for that today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeremy. Roll call.
Ladner.
Here.
McMasters.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
Pepper.
Here. All right, first we have approval of minutes. We'll take A separately.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Abstain.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
A is approved with a vote of 4-0, 1 abstention. We'll
So
take
moved.
the next three together. Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
B, C, and D are approved 5-0. Next, we have set public hearings. Ordinance 24-4579, approved rezoning request 142124, Moulton Heights Habitat for Humanity. Public hearing set for April 1st, 2024.
How are y'all today?
Good.
All right, the applicant is requesting to rezone 19.52 acres from R2 single family to R5 patio homes. It's located off of Moulton Heights Road, and it went before the planning commission on the 20th of last month. The planning commission recommended not to rezone for the one. The land is currently vacant. Do y'all have any questions?
No, that's a public hearing set for April 1st. Any other questions? Thanks, Tommy. Public hearings, resolution 24019, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 1616 Danville Road Southwest. Public hearing was set for February 5th, 2024.
Good evening, David Lee with Community Development. This has been ongoing for a while, and the structure has been open and unsecured at different times. The swimming pool fence or enclosure is also dilapidated and doesn't keep people out. We've had complaints of people going and coming and vagrants and the like. It is a public nuisance, and we would ask that the council authorize the abatement.
So moved. Second.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on this, or we'll open the public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on the item, speak now. Seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed. I have a motion by Mr. McMasters.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24019 is approved 5-0. Next, we have resolution 24020, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 609 3rd Avenue Southwest. Public hearing was set February 5th, 2024.
Yes, sir, this has been ongoing for, since last May. Nothing has happened to correct the unsafe conditions. It's open and unsecured as well, and I was informed today that there have been some arrests made over there at different times, people trespassing and going in and out. No steps have been made towards repair towards this one either, and we would request that the council authorize the demolition.
Right, this is a public hearing as well. We'll open the public hearing now. If there's anyone here to speak, I can speak now. Seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing
So
closed.
moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24020 is approved 5-0. Ordinance 244576, approved rezoning request 141923 for property located at 1306 Somerville Road Southeast. Public hearing was set February 5th, 2024.
Good evening, council. This is the property that was used as a medical office, and they're wanting to rezone to R3. There's R3 across the street.
All right, this is also a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing now. Is there anyone here to speak? You can speak now. Seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public
So
hearing
moved.
closed. Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Ordinance 244576 approved 5-0. Resolution 24034 approved special use permit for T-Mobile to modify existing tower located at 2611B Highway 31 South.
Good afternoon, President, Council, Mayor. Dave Andrews with CMS. This resolution is for an application made by T-Mobile to modify the existing tower at 2611B Highway 31 South. They're currently providing service from this tower. It's a 148-foot self-support tower. This is a little different from our normal modifications. This is going to be an anchor site for T-Mobile, so they're requesting to remove all of the equipment that's on site, including equipment cabinets, antennas, and associated equipment for the antennas. They're going to replace that with new equipment cabinets, and they're going to add replace it with 6 new antennas. There again, this is being done for an anchor project, but it's also going to provide 5G to the surrounding area for T-Mobile customers. CMS has reviewed the application and recommends approval by
So moved.
council.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24034 is approved 5-0. Resolution 24035, approved surplus of vehicles no longer needed by Environmental Services Department.
Yes, Jeremy Sherrill with procurement. This is a request to surplus a total of 4 assets for the environmental department, 2 2013 garbage trucks and 2 1994 loader trucks no longer in use.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24035 is approved 5-0. Resolution 24036, declare surplus of equipment no longer needed by landfill department.
This is a request to surplus a 2018 bulldozer that's no longer being used by our landfill department.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24036 approved 5-0. Resolution 24037, declare surplus items no longer needed at Annex Building.
This is a request to surplus the list of office supplies that remain at the annex that was formerly utilized by IS and planning departments.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
I think it was a huge, and again, we discussed this before, a huge mistake for us to come out of that building, especially not having something set for us to use or to sublease it. I just think it was a huge mistake, so I will not support this today because I do think that ultimately we'll need to go back there.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24037 is approved 4-1. Next, we have Resolution 24038, authorized purchase of vehicles for various departments.
Yes, sir. Funding for this list of assets has been approved in the FY24 budget. It's to update our vehicle fleet. So funding is not needed for approval, but this is a request to assign the purchase expense to each department. The pricing was awarded through the negotiated state contract T191.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. We did have a member of the public that wanted to speak, Mr. Faruqi.
Morning, good afternoon, gentlemen.
a bunch of data, points I pulled out. Now, I guess it's $490K for 11 trucks. Is that correct? Yeah. I asked the question last week about, I left it with, can we do better? That was my question, because it seems like a lot of money for some vehicles that maybe go into some departments and maybe don't need that capability. Okay, we're getting a Ford Maverick, 3 Ford F-150s, 2 F-250 4x4s, 1 Ford Transit 15 packs, 3 F-150 Super Crew 4x4s on this contract. The vehicle breakdown talks about safety, getting the Ford Maverick, replacing their Impala, which is rated as fair. Mr. DeMeester, I believe is your name, he gave me a spreadsheet after an RFI that I sent forward asking how are these vehicles to be used, where are they going, what departments should they be going to. From that information, the Impala is rated fair. Now, as I understand it, within the city, you rate them poor, PO coded, fair, FA coded, good, GD coded, or excellent. Okay, of the 10 vehicles that are in the current document saying they need to be replaced, 2 of them are rated as fair, the remainder are all rated poor. So there may be some possibility, I offer, to look at those vehicles again and say whether or not they need to be totally gotten rid of or replaced by something else within the inventory that the city already owns at a potentially cheaper cost to the city and taxpayers of our city. If you go to the second page, I asked the question, how does a citizen gain clarity on an issue within the city? Mr. Mayor, Mr. Masters, Mr. Demeester, over the last week, since Monday, I asked a bunch of questions and I came up with how this process works. So it might be good edification if you haven't had to do it yourselves, how somebody has to do it, as I did. First off, I asked for a document on the spreadsheet that Mr. Demeester talked to on Monday, last Monday. He said it was available to the city council. I asked the question of who I thought was Mr. McMasters, but was sitting in that chair yesterday last time. And he said he would look into it and if I could, send him an email, which I did. I sent a copy of an email to you, asking to see this document. He said it looked like it would be okay. He CC'd Mr. Demeester, who said he would set up for, McMaster said he would set up a time with Mr. Demeester. I responded to all of the people on the list at the time, said, please send me the date and the time and I'll be there. I want to look at this spreadsheet. And that was on Monday. On Tuesday, I was told that they could not set up a time and that it couldn't help because it was based on legal. And that was CC'd also the city clerk, Stephanie, helped me out with figuring out how to do this process with an RFI.
Wait a minute, let me back in a second. He couldn't show you what based on legal.
If the document you've got in the spreadsheet, page 2, has a listing of all the vehicles the city owns, a total of, let's see how many, well, when I was looking at 98 trucks were on that spreadsheet. Now that 98 trucks, as it turns out, does not include the police and fire vehicles that the city also owns. But of that spreadsheet, as I understand it, that was the sole basis for the decision on where these vehicles were going to go within the city. Does that answer your question, sir?
Well, yeah, I just, okay, yeah, go ahead, because I'm curious as to why legally, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, just to be clear, we do 3 minutes if you can just try to wrap up.
I interrupted.
Yeah, I know, I'm gonna give him a chance to wrap up.
Okay, here's the bottom line. Take a look at all the vehicles. Of 130 vehicles in this city, only 12 of them are cars or sedans. 9.2% of the current vehicles remain are all trucks. Does the city of Decatur really need that many vehicles to operate? Because I'll tell you, the police department, which has 165 vehicles, 93% of those are sedans or SUVs. So there's a misuse potentially in vehicles within the city for administrative functions within our city. I cited here some examples of the miles per gallon for various vehicles. Ford Escape gets 42 and 36, while the average Ford F-150 with a 3.5 gets 18 and 24. We can do significantly better cost savings. My recommendation, you see there, is keep the 2007 Impala and the F-150 both rated fair. You got a lot of vehicles that are in poor condition, I get that. But you're buying a whole lot of very expensive vehicles, trucks specifically, to replace vehicles that could be used for administrative purposes.
Thank you. Mr. Faruqi will we'll have to end it there. We do have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Cheryl, could you explain, because my concern was at the very beginning was, why are we buying extended crew cabs when we could just buy regular cabs for our departments? And, I mean, can you share with you, I mean, just publicly what you shared?
Yes, sir. What I would say is, when I look at the state contract that's negotiated at the state level, they have on the F-150s, when you look at an F-150, they have what's called a super cab that is available on that. Supply chain has also been an issue with vehicles, and so as we're looking at our need and we're looking at what's available, we're also trying to find something that can be delivered. Last year we ordered in April, I believe, and they started delivering in September. So we know we have a need, and so it's a little bit better this year. But that super cab is what is available on that state contract pricing. And I would also add that I lean very heavily to our department heads and what they need. I'm not in the operations of each department every day, but if they're recommending a four-wheel drive, if they're recommending a crew cab, obviously we're going to take that into consideration. We can't get everybody everything that they ask for all the time, but we certainly want to meet the needs when we can, and that's what led to the list that we provide.
I guess, I mean, and I'm not in disagreement that we should follow their lead and they should be able to tell us what they need. My concern is that, you know, again, was when we have a community development person and they're riding in a super crew cab when a regular cab would work. But you're telling me that we can't get that. So if I go to a state contract, I can't find the single cab that's on there.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
All right, any other questions, Jeremy?
I have a quick question.
Hold on, Frank. Wait, you gotta sign in
I did sign in, I just didn't know.
on this topic. I think we need to move forward. Any other discussion?
I've got one question.
We've wrapped up. I think we heard you. We understand your point. We got your emails. We've got your work breakdown here. We heard you last week as well. So I think we'll move forward. We do have a motion in a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24038 is approved 5-0. Resolution 24039, award bid number 24004 for right-of-way maintenance to Thrive Outdoor. Jeremy?
Yes, sir. This bid solicitation was issued December 11, 2023. The previous contract expired on November the 7th, and we had our bid opening on January the 4th of this year. We received 3 responses, and we are recommending Thrive Outdoor as the lowest and responsible bidder.
And how much is that bid worth?
You asked
What's the
for
total? What's the total amount?
Total. You have that in.
It was 121 per cutting though, wasn't it?
Yes.
How many cuttings do we have? That's
Some of these are cut 28 times throughout the year, depending on the level of priority. Most of them are 7 cuts through the year, and some are, I believe, 10 cuts. It just depends on the level of priority.
what's the total on,
We have extended cost at $951,750 by, let's see, by Lawnscapes, and $885,284 by Thrive, the extended yearly contract cost.
So the total is
Based
884.
on price per cut, try to extend out how many cuts are going to be expected there.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Pepper. Motion by Mr. Pepper.
So, Herman, by law, we gotta take the lowest bid.
Based on what we heard from the department that's supervising this, and based on the purchasing department evaluation, they are the lowest responsible bidder, yes, sir.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
Herman, we have taken lowest responsible bidder before on graveyard contracts. And we came back and they couldn't actually fulfill that.
So we had to go back and find another bidder. That's what we'll
Yeah.
have to do here if this doesn't work out.
Okay. I have never supported this, because when we originally went to the contract mowing. Do I need to hold up? Okay, I have never supported this because when we went to the original contract mowing, I think it was like $400,000 annually. And this doesn't include all the mowing. This is mowing that we pay different mowing for beltline and other things. So this doesn't include all of our mowing. And I just don't know that we're getting an adequate service for that $1 million that we're paying. And I think that we can do it more efficiently in-house. I'll always believe that. I think that we can show that, so I will not support this tonight. So anyway, I appreciate what you do, but I can't support this.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'll just say I will support this tonight, a bit reluctantly. You know, last year I brought this up. I think we all talked about the issues that we had. There was discussion of ending our contract with them at one point. Daniel, I appreciate your time going through this and talking. Jeremy, you as well. So I understand you, Daniel, you feel confident moving forward. It sounds like there's some backstops in there as well. If we see issues like we saw last year, it'll be caught earlier and held to a different standard. So I'll support it.
So can one of you speak by chance on the penalties that are involved when it comes to them not fulfilling the requirements of the contract? Because if I'm not mistaken, somebody told me that there was a penalty involved, or where we could charge them if we have to call another service.
Yeah, if it's something, we're gonna give them, if we see an issue, we're gonna give them a written notice with 72 hours to correct it. If during that time we feel like it needs to be caught and we actually send our people out to catch it, we're gonna take that cost of what they would charge us off of the invoice so that we're not paying it twice.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Daniel, at times our city has looked really, really bad. It's looked really bad. And I know that Thrive has come back and and again, it doesn't matter if it was Thrive or Jive or anybody else doing this contract, I wouldn't support it. But I know that Thrive has come back and said that they have had, you know, they've seen the error of their ways or whatever, and they're gonna correct that. But to me, it seems like a company that does something like this, we shouldn't have to bring it to their attention if there's going to be integrity and responsibility on their part. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I also believe you have to expect what you expect. I believe you have to be there, you have to watch. Also, just to your point, actually, a little bit more to your question, Mr. Becker. There are avenues in here. The one avenue is, yes, they got 72 hours to find deficiency. And if they don't solve it in 72 hours, we can terminate the contract.
Okay.
Now, if we go and mow something that they didn't finish, or it wasn't to our standards, we get to charge them for that as well. So the process, there's not gonna be many contractors out there who do work who would not put forth their best effort. I've had numerous conversations with the owner of the company and also their supervision. One of the things they told me is they have a lot of eyes on them. And they said that they want to come back and show the naysayers how good they are, because their reputation has been tarnished.
But they tarnish their reputation.
Absolutely. And I mentioned that. The thing is, they had the lowest bid, and we also asked for an executive proposal. And in that executive proposal, they give us a list of dates when they're going to complete areas, what they're going to do, and what specs. And that's another tool that we'll be able to use. We know exactly, you know, last year we had a lot of rain, things like that, a lot of things. But we have that proposal saying where they're going to be, what times, and they have to have a dedicated list.
They're going to provide that weekly.
They're going to provide that daily.
So tonight I'm going to support this. However, I do agree with Mr. Jackson, and I have questions as to, is there any thought process in behind if we're going to lead in the direction of bringing this in-house in the future? Has there already been something, like a study done of how we could bring this in-house? What would it take to bring this in-house? I hope something like that has occurred. To my understanding, we used to do it in-house years ago, but we started going with a contractor, and then obviously, I don't know how long. I think we had one contractor for 10 or 12 years, and then we moved on and kept going on. So, and then went to Hannah's and then it went to Thrive. So, is there any study you look into?
And kind of to piggyback off of that, I don't disagree with that sentiment either. I know we focused on headcount and payroll and everything else, but at what point do you do it yourself, even if it's costing you a little more to have a better product?
That's
And I
kind of where I'm going with it.
Conversations have been had, Mr. Jackson's had them, I inquired early on, and you just kind of get used to the way things are sometimes, but I would like to be curious, what it would cost, what it would take for us to do it again. We've got labor shortages just like everybody else does, we've got open positions we're having a hard time filling, there's gonna be equipment buy-in, it's gonna be an expensive venture if we choose to do it. But I do think it's worth investigating.
When you hired me in January of 24, 2 years ago, you told me you would give me 18 months to figure out how to do and what to do in my job. I took over the beautification in October of 23. But as a manager and managing contracts, I wouldn't be worth anything if I didn't evaluate which is best for the city. I answer to a lot of bosses, the whole city of Decatur, and I want to do the best for them. So if we take this contract, I have no issues whatsoever terminating the contract. If they come in and do a great job, that's great. If we come and reevaluate and say we can do this in-house, we can do a better job, of course we want to do that and bring it in-house. When will we know that? We got to keep going. We got to see what we got, we got to evaluate, and move forward. But I always think there's a good balance between in-house and contract. And so we got to have that.
And to your point, you have done some amazing things in the last 18 months, and you've done an outstanding job. Outstanding.
Well,
You have done a good job, Daniel.
I'll say this, and I'm gonna let it go. The very first time we voted on this, and I get this a lot, you vote no on everything, but I voted no on this.
When was that? Do you remember?
I can't remember the exact year, but the very first time we did, I voted no on it, and I said at that particular time that, just as he said, that once we sold all of our equipment, that once we shifted our manpower and went to different departments and spread them all out and just made all the arrangements for this to happen, that we were gonna be over a barrel, and that the price would start to go up and up and up, and we've seen that. It's continually gone up. So, yeah, it would be costly to get back into it, but I still would like to see an evaluation or discuss evaluation with you as to how we can get back into it, because I think ultimately, and it will have high initial cost, but the cost in the end is gonna be more cost effective and will do a better job than, I think, than have a contractor do it. So it's just, we never got complaints before. We never got complaints, and now we're getting complaints on a regular basis. So.
Another point of information as it relates to an increase in the dollar amount. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, we took on ALDOT's right-of-ways. So ALDOT was doing mowing on Highway 67, Highway 31, and other right-of-ways. And we just were not happy with the number of times that they were doing that annually. And so we took it on ourselves. And now we're mowing Highway 67 from 31 to 20 on a weekly basis, and then Highway 31 from 67 to the city limits on a weekly basis with trash collection and daily. That's unrelated to this contract. There's more mowings being done, and so I spent some time with Daniel this morning. He showed me the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that the contractor is performing as expected. And then, as you started off with, that you'll inspect what you expect. So, good luck.
Thank you, Daniel.
I'll just add, I think you took over this type of contract when? Yeah, so really not even a mowing season yet. Everything we've asked you to do, done a really good job, and I know you have high expectations for anybody we ask to do this, whether it's our own employees or a contractor. And I know if you're not happy with that, you'll make sure it gets fixed. So I do think I'm certainly open to looking at what the cost would be, as you probably are too, to do it in-house. That cost will rise every year as well, because we give step raises, and most of the time we're giving COLAs, and the price of equipment has certainly gone up since, I don't know what year it was, but those costs will rise too, but I'm certainly open. I think we need to evaluate that and make sure we're looking at every option.
But mowing is basically, I'm sorry, I mean, could you?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Mowing is basically a seasonal performance. So do we expect those people to be on as permanent employees? Do we expect them to be temporary employees or part-time? So
Yeah, that's part of the evaluation.
So that's part of the evaluation, in that when you say the costs are going to continually go up because we give COLAs and things of that nature, that's not going to be in place with that.
Could rotate it out similar to what Mallard does. I mean,
It would be very difficult to get seasonal employees continuously, much less ones that are comfortable and familiar with what they're doing and where they're gonna be. That would.
I can see that.
Not if you had the supervisors in place.
I do want to add too about Thrive. We, in the package, we got many, they had many recommendation letters or references that were checked out. Several of them, I noticed, did say we had to work through some issues the first year, but since then it's been really good. So that there was a lot of positive feedback on the references from other municipalities, school boards, utility departments all across North Alabama. So it wasn't all bad. We did have struggles last year. I think everybody's aware of that. I do appreciate Mr. Crafts having a conversation with you, some of the things you brought to light last week. And we'll see how this works, but I will support it tonight on your recommendation. So any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24039 is approved 4-1. Resolution 24040, approved budget amendment for police training facility awnings.
Yes, sir. Last one. This is a request for some additional funds from the general unassigned balance to add some awnings onto the police training facility. The original bid for improvements there was awarded last August to U.S. Constructors on Resolution 23-209. As construction has neared completion, it's been discovered that rain is leaking in through the doorways. And so they discovered that we need to add some overhead awnings so that they can finish the project and obviously keep water from coming in the future. We provided a quote from U.S. Constructors to install those the length of the building. And of the funds that were previously assigned to that project, there's $15,505 that is still remaining that is going to be used, but there is a shortage, which is what we're asking for, of $7,995 to complete that.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24040 is approved 5-0. Resolution 24041, approve acceptance of public use and maintenance for Old River Manor A, re-subdivision of Lot 1 of Morris Brothers subdivision.
Mayor, Council, Carl Pruitt, City Engineer. H and I are both subdivisions that have been constructed. They're substantially complete, and we've given a maintenance bond, and I recommend accepting of use and maintenance.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second. Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24041 is approved 5-0. Resolution 24042, approve acceptance of public use and maintenance of Old River Manor A, re-subdivision of Lot 2 and portion of Lot 2 of Morris Brothers subdivision.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Same thing. Second. Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24042 is approved 5-0. Resolution 24043, approved proposal with TTL for 2024 air compliance assistance for the Decatur Morgan County Regional Landfill. On the-
On the title, landfill and recycling, in order for us to stay in compliance with our Title V permit, we're required to prepare and submit 6 reports in regards to our gas reporting and air emissions. This proposal before you is from TTL for $14,500. They have been responsible for our these reporting for the past 12 years.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Leidner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24043 is approved 5-0. Resolution 24044, approve application for an Alabama Historical Commission grant to expand the Second Avenue Historic District.
Alan Stover, Community Development Manager. This is an application with the Alabama Historic Commission to allow us to extend our Second Avenue Historic District. We're just asking that y'all approve this application.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Leidner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24044 approved 5-0. Resolution 24045, approve application for an Alabama Historical Commission grant for a conditions assessment for the Carnegie Library.
In order for us to apply for additional funds for any of these historic buildings that we've got, we just went through the historic structures report of the old bank. We're in the process of doing that at Delano. So this application will allow us to do it at the Carnegie, so that would open up some additional funding, to do some renovations on these buildings.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Leidner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24045 is approved 5-0.
Thank you.
Resolution 24046, approve moratorium extension for study of build-to-rent regulations and related issuance of building permits.
Well, okay, at the planning commission meeting, they voted to ask the city council to extend the moratorium on build to rent for further review because there were some challenges in finding language and getting language that we felt comfortable with. So that's what's before you, is an extension of that moratorium to allow further study. As I shared in the work session, I do not anticipate us taking 6 months to bring forth something if y'all vote for it. Now, that's up to y'all whether you do it or not, but that's.
Got a motion by Mr. McMasters and a second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion?
Just to clarify, Herman, it's difficult because we're the first one in the state attempting to do this. Is that
To the best of our
fairly accurate?
knowledge,
And we've
we'll
heard
be
from
the
other
first one
municipalities
that's
that are waiting
attempting.
to see what we do, right?
They could very well see what we're gonna do, yes.
I'll make one comment. I was barely voted yes the first 6-month moratorium, and I thought I was gonna vote against this one. But what I do want to say is I was having a discussion after the meeting last week, and I thought a good point was made. And I just also want to point out, Tommy, we appreciate you, and you're doing a really good job, and you're by yourself in the department. So thank you for the work you're doing.
Agreed.
The point made by Mr. Jackson was, my complaint was, if we can't figure it out in 6 months, how are we gonna figure it out in 12 months? Because 6 months seems like plenty of time, which I think generally you agreed, except we're down to one person who has to take care of every single thing, every call that comes in, every rezoning, everything we have to do. And I do think that's a valid point. So I'm willing to support an additional 6 months, but not an additional 6
Yeah,
after
I have,
that.
that's good. One other thing, because we're rewriting the zoning ordinance with the assistance of a consultant. We reached out to that consultant. They really had no information to provide us. So I just thought I'd throw that, just confirming what you just said. It's difficult to find language.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Leidner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24046 approved 5-0. Resolution 24047 Approve Safe Haven Baby Box Program appropriation.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
Yeah, just in case anybody has any questions, we're doing studies right now on the safe haven boxes down where I work with the fire departments and quite a bit of that. So these are a great benefit to a lot of communities. I don't know from the legal standpoint, but to my understanding, if the baby's born before 60 or within 60 days, that it's legal for them to drop the baby off at the safe haven box. I know it's been used, as to my understanding, 3 times now in Madison County. So I mean, it's a great benefit to many different communities and has potentially saved some children's lives, some babies' lives, excuse me.
Thanks, Mr. Pepper. Any other discussion? Do want to point out this will be housed at the hospital, Decatur Morgan Hospital. We appreciate them allowing the box to be put there. We appreciate our legislative delegation for funding a piece of this. And then we're funding a piece of it as well as the ongoing maintenance year over year for this box. There's really no amount of money I don't think I would have supported for this to happen. So I think it's a really good project. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 24047 is approved 5-0. Next, we have ordinances first reading. Ordinance 244580, approve amendment to Code of Decatur, Alabama, Section 24.5 for repossession of motor vehicles.
Yeah. Okay, of course, this is just setting it as an introduction, but several municipalities across the state have regulations that relate to repossession of motor vehicles. Some require you to call before you go out to attempt a repossession. Others only required after you've successfully repossessed the vehicle. This particular ordinance we proposed does both. The 30-minute prior notice before going, you have to share basically the vehicle, the location of the proposed vehicle, the color, the make, the model, the VIN, and the tag if you have it. The purpose of this is to, sometimes our citizens call and don't know where their vehicle went. This would help the police department. What you would do is you would call the front desk of the police department if you're trying to repossess a vehicle and give them that information I just shared. And then within 1 hour after you've attempted, whether you're successful or not, you are to call back to the front desk of the police department and share whether you were successful or not. If you were successful, then you must share any information that's different than what you've already provided and confirm where the vehicle is at that time and who the person was that you believe was possessing the vehicle prior to your repossession. So what it does is gives us an additional tool for our citizens and our police department to be made aware of repossessions.
All right, we did have a few folks that wanted to speak on this item. I'm just going to go in order of how it signed in. So Mr. Faruqi was first, and we again 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Greetings again. My only commentary on this particular resolution is some of the verbiage, specifically dictating, or I should say, assigning the term agent to somebody in the action of repossessing. I would like to see the verbiage simply say repossessor versus agent, so that there's very clear delineation that their task is simply to repossess the vehicle versus acting in any type of legal capacity. Is there a question?
No, I was.
I'm sorry. So that's my first thing. And also specifically to say something to the effect that the repossessor will not create circumstances likely to breach the peace. So there's a party requirement for them to go in with the mindset of not breaching the peace. It is in there, but it is not specifically with a requirement. Repossessor will not create circumstances likely to breach the peace. That's again, if you look at harshening some of the verbiage to make it more clear to anyone doing a repossession. And just an observation, we've been more debate on beautification than anything else.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Owen, Dr. Owens is next.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, and thank you all, Mayor, Council, thank you for the time tonight. Also, Ms. Martin, thank you for the time you spent with us, trying to get this done. And we appreciate it, but as the community, I'd like to, Dr. Rice, I would like to say a few things again that we'd like to have in addition to the things that have already been said and done. We think last week I noticed that there's one citizen and even our brother tonight that has some additional things that to be considered. So we appreciate everybody as a community playing a part in this. And as a community, we would like some other things to take place. At least let's talk about it. Number one, we would like to have to specify the type and time. If there's some kind of notification that these citizens will get that their cars are going to be repossessed. Now, I know that's probably not what Frank, everybody will agree to. We feel like something needs to be, if we're going to continue this way, they need to know something. And someone may say, well, you know, they should know because they're behind. Everybody's not always behind. There could be other things, circumstances with that. License and registration. We know and understand that everybody that comes into this town, this city, to repossess a car may not have a license in this city, or they may not have a registration. They need to be registered in some way so they can understand what this city expects of them to do. Code of conduct, and it should be outlined. Some additional specifics should be outlined. For instance, clearly stating, as many have said, that this is a civil matter, and the police should not be called unless there's some dire 911 emergency. Restrictions on use of force, as gentleman previously said, or about entering private property. Many people have HOAs and some other things. Alabama procedures should be strictly called out in this, so everybody will understand. It's my understanding that the tow truck company that we are talking about tonight, or it's based on, is not even, it's a Mississippi-based company. My question is, now here's why we need to, that's another story. I'll talk about that another time. Also, it should be included in the ordinance that a tow truck company should not be able to try repossessing a car if they've already tried. It should not be permitted more than one time, particularly when it's at night. Storage and disposal, is our understanding that sometimes cars are repossessed and people, the owners don't even know where they are. So there should be something governing, a regulation or something governing where these cars are stored, so people will know how they're supposed to repossess their property or possess it again. And it should be just, or what's gonna happen if it's not disposed of by the debtor. So these are some things that we'd like you to consider. Also, the penalties, we saw those, but in addition to those penalties, we think that there should be some additional things such as license suspension. Why should we keep letting them pay $500 or $500? Their license should be suspended if they could do something more than 1 or 2 times. And also, we understand that there are some things in here about not exceeding 6 months. Well, what do they have to do? Just show us some examples of what they need to do if they're going to be convicted or in prison or sentenced. So they should know up front that they should have, if they do these things, if there's opportunity, they could be convicted by the judge trying the case. Also, there should be some circumstances that they should know that some things may end up being criminal and they could be recommended for criminal charges. And lastly,
She got you.
Okay. Lastly, I just want to say this because it's important. And I know that we've been around the world with this, and I know we've met several times, but I gotta say this, I still think, as an individual, we need some midnight to 6 a.m. tow truck repossession ban. Because God forbid, if this happens again, and it probably will, if we go do things that we're doing, that someone's sleeping child or sleeping spouse, this time it may not be just someone's house, it could be a person that gets hit with 18 shots. And so I'd like to see us even reconsider that again. So, with all these things that we have discussed and you have papers on, I'd like for us to reconsider all these things. Until we reconsider all these things that gentlemen just brought up and some others that are coming, that we do not vote on this tonight, that we reconsider this. And also, we'd like to have a meeting where we can sit down again and talk through this. We appreciate the work, but we just feel like it's just not tight enough. And I just feel like if we don't get it right, that this will happen again. We'd rather have a right ordinance than a quick ordinance.
Hold on, call that. I just want to make sure there's any questions or comments. I would just say I appreciate this. We could have technically voted on this if there was a unanimous. We're not. I wouldn't support that because of some of the things you brought up tonight. We'll leave it here to see where we get next week. It would have to be reintroduced. You and I talked about this. I just want to make sure everybody, or the 3 of us talked about it. Make sure everybody's clear. So it would have to be reintroduced potentially next week. If we all felt comfortable with where it was, we could vote. It would take unanimous. If not, it would be another council meeting after. But I'm certainly willing to meet about these specific things and changes. Things are always a work in progress, so I do appreciate those things you and Dr. Rice put together.
It was community effort.
Sure, and we'll move in the direction of let's talk after this meeting and the next couple of days and see where we can land, but thank you.
Thank you.
Frank, did you want to talk on this issue or your other issue?
I didn't know we had to sign like particulars. I'd like to talk about both, especially.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's fine. They're both tow related.
Right, yes.
I just wasn't sure which one.
The things that she's talking about are need to be said, and, you know, we're, all of this started because the guys that went to repo Mr. Perkins' car didn't know how to do their job. And, you know, I've said that before, but, you know, they wanted to notify the customer before we repo their car. Well, trust me, there's been lots of notifications, sent out, and when you notify somebody they're gonna take the car, odds are they're gonna hide it.
Right.
And, well, I'm just,
I
you
know,
know.
just address those.
Right, but, you know, I don't see any problem with having a repo ordinance. I'm not here to contest it or anything like that, but, you know, I would like a little more accountability held towards, you know, the procedures that went to cause this, you know, like, we're not the problem causer. And there's just you know, other ways to handle this besides set up a time where you can and can't go.
And I appreciate too, you know, Frank's met with Dr. Owen.
Yeah, I'm
Rice
open
and
for
all that,
whatever,
so
but I
we'll,
mean, you know,
we'll
if
continue.
you start restricting when we can go and, you know, start notifying people like, well, hey, I'm fixing to come repossess your car. Well, guess what? I bet it's not there when you show up. And then notifying the police is no big deal. But, I mean, the debtors get notified, you know, a bunch from my place before we go. It's not like they have no clue that we're coming.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Pastor Franklin signed in on this topic.
My concern here tonight, and that is that, you know, there are always two sides to a coin. And what we have been discussing tonight is one part of it. My thing is, I think that I want to ask a few questions, and maybe you can involve this into the ordinance as well. We try to prevent from happening what happened at the Perkins residence. Is that right?
That would be, I think, the goal of Dr. Owen. Yes.
So we want to include something in the ordinance that will prevent that or avoid that from happening. So my question is to the council tonight, since police was involved, do the police really understand their responsibilities when they arrive on the scene at a repo?
They should not be arriving on the scene for a repo.
They should not.
I think you should hold that comment and be careful about that. Because that is not accurate. That is not accurate what you just said. And the reason why that's not accurate is if somebody calls for the police, they can go to keep the peace. So yes, the police can respond to a repossession to keep the peace. Yes, they can. So that is not them hold on. That is not them assisting within the repossession. They can respond to keep the peace. And the chief of police, if you have something to add to that, but I've asked other agencies throughout the city and have contacted other agencies throughout the state, in other states, and asked them how they carry out this procedure and this process. And so you gotta tread lightly when it comes to saying things like that. Hold on. Because whenever there's a situation that does occur at a residence and the police are needed and we're telling them that they can't respond there, what's gonna happen when an incident does occur? Hopefully this never occurs again, but what happens when something like that happens?
But if it becomes an unpeaceful situation, the law says that it has to be a peaceful situation.
That's true.
That tow truck driver should just leave at that particular point.
What if the tow truck driver's being held at gunpoint?
Mr. President, we need to
What if the tow truck driver's...
All right, Mr. Franklin, go ahead.
Okay, I understand that the police can get involved, they can go out on the scene, but as I heard you guys say, and as they are to go to keep the peace, but they are to go much further than that. They not only are to go to keep the peace, but they also should be there to keep people safe and from being harmed. You agree? You agree? Okay, now, if they're there to keep the peace and keep people from being harmed and safe, I want to ask another question, and that is, can the police officers, after arriving on the scene, tell whoever it is that they're going to repossess the car to step aside and turn the keys over to the police?
No.
Can they threaten the arrest of someone?
No.
Can't do that? Just ask a question.
No, that would be them involving themselves in the repo.
That would be assisting the police.
That is correct. That would be
crossing the line.
That is correct.
So if that's the case, then I'd like to know that if they did that, would that be in a violation of the civil rights of the person, of the purpose in this regard? Yeah. So I think that we need to be writing an ordinance pertaining to some of that. There's two sides to this coin. If you're gonna tell me what the car, make of the car and all these other things that you enumerated, it ought to be some of this stuff injected as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll continue to work.
And I suggest that the Perkins family would get a police report from you guys as to what took place out there.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. I did not have anybody else sign in on this topic. Did Cherie, did you want to speak? Okay. This. Okay.
Give me a second. I think as Dr. Owens spoke about earlier, adding back in the information about midnight to 6 a.m. not being allowed to repossess during those hours. Is there a particular reason why that is something that was not put in the ordinance initially?
Yeah, I was initially supportive of that, just kind of on face value. The feedback we got were from lenders. I mean, Frank would be one, but also major car lenders that had real issue with their collateral, their property being restricted on repossession, and it would have affected, according to them, the credit profile of who could purchase a vehicle.
And I understand that, but if they were concerned about their collateral, they could be open from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
They're not up. And I don't think it necessarily, for anybody who's selling cars, they're not gonna stop because this is in place. Now, I agree with you, it may affect interest rates, what they charge people for purchasing those cars, but we all know they're not gonna stop selling cars. Frank is not gonna stop, he's not gonna close down shop because of that. We put other things in place for public safety reasons. There's a reason why we don't sell alcohol 24 hours a day, because we're concerned about what happens when people go out and drink all night and get on the highway and they could cause an accident or they could hurt someone else. So we put a moratorium on what times we can sell alcohol for public safety. I think this is something else that we can look at for public safety reasons as well. Formal notification process in place for reporting a tow. There needs to be a formal notification process for them, not just calling and the front desk is supposed to answer or not answer, or write it down, not write it down. There needs to be some sort of formal process, whether that's sent by email, to verify that they actually have the right to go out and repossess these vehicles, and then to report it back formally in a manner that can be recorded other than somebody writing it down in a notebook at the front desk. So I think that needs to be looked at. Progressive penalties. I know Dr. Owens said that there is a place for that, but I didn't see what the penalties were. If this ordinance is violated, do we have, Mr. Herman?
I'm good with progressive penalty.
Well, yes, that's up to the discretion of the judge, but the penalties are from $1 to $500 and up to 6 months in the Morgan County Jail.
And also civil penalties for a wrongful repossession can be extremely high for the civil penalty.
And we do want to look at part of that being revocation of license.
Yes.
That they need to not be able to practice in the city if they're
If
not going
there's,
to abide
if there's
by it.
wrongful repossession.
Right,
Yeah.
if they continue to disregard the ordinance. There needs to be verbiage added to emphasize that police involvement in a tow is only with a court order. I know Mr. Pepper thinks he knows, but there is only supposed to be involvement by the police when there is a court order in place. Now, if they're going to address a breach of the peace or something that happened to the tow truck driver, that's a separate situation. That doesn't necessarily have to operate in that manner. But that is the law, state law says, they can only get, I want my time.
Go ahead.
They can only get involved when there is a court order that says they can be there. It's the same way when the sheriff's office goes out because there's somebody that is being put out of their home. There has to be a court order there for them to assist them in doing that. The other thing, if the peace is breached, there will not be another attempt in the same day. And also, I think Dr. Owens mentioned that, but to go along with that, that they need to report that back as well. I know we reported they got it successfully, if they didn't, but it also needs to be reported if there was a breach of the peace. Because if you don't know that, then they can continue to keep trying against the ordinance. So there needs to be, I think that was not if there's a,
It was just kind of vaguely glossed over, but.
I took it
Dr.
that way.
Owens-
yeah, that they report back the breach of the peace, not just if they recovered it or if they didn't, but if there was an actual breach of the peace.
Yeah.
That needs to be reported, so that they can be formally told by the police, do not return until 24 hours or whatever.
Okay. Yeah,
It's real messy then too, so we have all.
yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sheree. I think that was everybody on that topic. Yeah.
One quick question.
Come to the mic if you don't mind. It's the same topic.
Yes.
All right, that is the end of the agenda. Guys, let me finish here. So we'll continue into public comment. Let me get to our page here. The March 11th, 2024 work session is rescheduled to March 18th, 2024 at 9 a.m., so an hour before the council meeting on the 24th. And that'll be our next regular work session and council meeting, so March 24th. Sorry, March 18th. March 18th is the next regular council meeting at 10 a.m., work session at 9 a.m., March 18th. All right, we will move into public comment. We've got several signed in for that. Let's do 3 minutes, and I've got Sarah French is first.
I didn't know that we needed to do per topic, but I wanted to hit on McMaster's.
And don't start our time yet, but that's specific agenda
This
items.
is, yes,
Okay.
about the lawn.
That's the only way I know to call it.
Yeah, I didn't know I was supposed to do per item. So that, he posted last week, and I agree with him, that regarding outdoor maintenance for the city, we don't have to, or I don't want to go with the cheapest route. I will happily pay $1 or $3 extra on my light bill to cover a better job being done, whether it's in-house or a better company. I came from Hartselle. You never, ever saw it not took care of perfectly. So I would much rather live in a city that was well kept than one that goes with the cheapest bid.
That's right.
And then I have another note. Yesterday was the bridge crossing anniversary for Bloody Sunday in Selma, Alabama. We went down and we walked across the bridge. Things like that are very important to me. And as I stood there waiting to cross the bridge with hundreds and hundreds of people, a man beside me started talking and having a conversation. He holds office in Macon, Georgia, and he's also the cousin of Little Richard. Although he was quick to tell me he was not there as a politician or a VIP. He was there as a person. He comes to represent and stand with the people. He said he doesn't want to sit with the VIPs or the city. He comes because there is no division for him, that we are all fighting the same battle, and that's for equality, no matter the race, no matter the status. And I believe certain leaders here in Decatur need that vision. But the real reason I came up, and I've never addressed you, Mr. Pepper, and I'm going to be as respectful as I can, but just please allow me to finish because it's very emotional for me as well. I never address you because, frankly, I don't feel that the attention you're seeking is deserving. You are my personal councilman for my district, and just so you know, I am very unhappy with your service. I'm addressing you tonight because of 2 interviews last week with Fox News Channel 54. You can back whoever you want to back. You can have any opinion you want to have. You can go against every single person on this council if that's what you want to do. My one request, and the Perkins family request, is from here on out to do the following. You said you do not want to disrespect the Perkins family. That's what you said in your interview. So I am asking you, with the family's knowledge, to do just that. Please keep their name out of your mouth. Go back to the very beginning of all this when you were asked about the Perkins family, and you always answered no comment. Because every time now that you open your mouth and you're speaking their name, it's in disrespect to them. Whether you mean it or not, I'm not saying you mean to be, but it is. And this is not just my opinion. This is the city of Decatur's opinion. If you can't stop immature social media posting and inappropriate comments to the media, then please do that if that makes you feel better. But out of respect for the family, please leave the Perkins family name out of your mouth completely. Justice for Steve.
Frank, did you want to address your other topic?
All right. A while ago when I went blank, I'm sorry, I think there needs to be a better definition of breach of peace in the repo ordinance too. Because if I go to somebody's house to get a car and, you know, they mention breach of peace, well, what if I'm sitting in my car and I don't say a word to anybody and they come out of the house acting crazy? And what? Well, I mean,
No, he signed in for public comment.
Frank, I have a question. Do you deal with banks or you just do in-house?
I do it with my money. We did about $1,011,000 in finance with my money last year, so it's not peanuts.
So it's going to affect you,
Yeah,
obviously.
okay.
So
But
would,
what I'm going to do is, the main reason I'm here, and I've spoke with both of y'all about this, and you've experienced this yourself recently. When your car is impounded by the police, and this affects everybody in this room, and the 3 of us right here have experienced it personally. When your car gets impounded, it becomes abandoned, and the tow truck companies are supposed to report this. And it's the second time that just me, second truck in 2 months that I've had to go get, and the tow truck company doesn't do what they're supposed to do. And it doesn't notify people like me that my car's sitting over there in the impound racking up storage bill. Well, there's procedures already laid out, there's already city ordinances, there's already, it's already there in place, it's been put in place since May of 2016, so it's not a new thing. And,
State law.
State and city.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there needs to be more regulation on the charges, like, the tow truck company last week was gonna charge me $1,455. Well, I told the traffic lieutenant what was going on, and they're the ones that oversee this, and guess what? Since they did it wrong, and I had to get the police to call them to tell them that they did it wrong, well, guess what? My record bill went from $1,450 down to $600. And $250 of that was administrative fees. And the administrative fee comes from them doing a little bit of paperwork and spending $18. So it's not just me whining, it's like my customer called me and said, my car's in impound. And I said, how long has it been there? He said, since the 4th of February. Well, when did they report it? And he goes, I don't know. So I look on the thing to see when they reported it. 22 days late. But they want their 22 days worth of storage at $40 a day. And people that don't know how this works, they're losing their cars, or they're getting a huge bill and they just have to pay it. And like you come down here to the city, and I know it's a lot for the police to know every law, but the first complaint I had, the chief and the lieutenant and the sergeant that's over traffic, they didn't know anything about the way that a car is supposed to be registered when it's impound. And then they've spoken with me and a couple other guys, and they know how it works now, and there needs to be more oversight from the city instead of us arguing with tow companies after the
And
car.
you're right, I did have an experience.
Billy's had it too, you know.
My truck got stolen and then it was found and towed, and so this happened a couple weeks ago. And I even knew, because you and I had met about this topic, so I knew what the requirements were for inputting that information in the system. But I had no idea to even how to go look and see if it was.
Anybody can do it from a cell phone, from a computer.
And there should be
it's
some, I think there's a way to have some protection to citizens, that they're not being racked up, those bills. So I think it's something we should work on. I agree.
Yeah, they should check, they should be able to do it in records.
Isn't there also like a day period that they can actually apply for a title for the vehicle?
Yeah, but see, they'll start that, and then if you don't know all the rules about that, they gotta run an ad in the paper and do certain other things, but like, if you don't know that they're supposed to register your car abandoned, how are you supposed to know about the rest of the rules? And so people's just sitting there losing their cars, and, you know, racking up huge storage bills. And both of the companies that I've had problems with are tow companies out of Hartselle. And no companies from Hartselle won't let Decatur work now.
We got you. Did you have a question?
I did, and I thought Herman was about to say something.
No, I was just saying, yeah, you've answered it. We can look at that. We already have.
Yeah, because this
Yeah,
affects
that's all
the
I'm
whole
saying.
city. I mean, it's not just me.
We got you.
Yeah.
Mike Stovall.
First, I want to say something about the Moulton Heights area. I know we're going to have a public hearing on that, but I've lived over there pretty much. I was born on Canterbury. I was raised on Rudin Drive, and I'm not going to tell you how I live at, but I still live somewhere around in that area. And I don't want to see a change made over there, because especially when it comes down to different type of housing, because you know, our neighborhood is good, and that's the way we think that that's the way we need to keep it. And if they want it that bad, let them take it to District 5. All right, we're going on.
I actually have a habitat property in District 5.
Well, let them take the rest of them over there, because we like the way our neighborhood is, and we don't want it to get, we don't, you know, those houses are not cheap over there. But anyway, what I have to say today is, this is the 6 months, today is the 6 month anniversary, or 6 months when Jaden was murdered by the Decatur Police Department. Last week was the 5th month of Stephen Perkins. What we need you all to do is, we're not going anywhere. We need you all to listen to us, and we need the chief of police to listen to us, and the mayor to listen to us. One thing that I would like from the chief of police is, what are you gonna do now to change your policies and your procedures on going forward? I need to know that from the mayor. How can he keep us safe? How is he going to, what is his plan that since all this has happened on keeping the city safe? We need something. Nobody's saying anything, and we need you all to not take so long on getting things done. 6 months, 5 months, that's been a long time. It's time to start getting stuff done so that we can report to the community. And don't believe that we're going anywhere just because you don't see a lot of people right here. Always remember, we're somewhere.
Mike. Justin.
Good evening. I'm sorry if I say just Steve. I have a question more directed at you. When that gentleman right there was speaking with the glasses, in my opinion, I thought he had pretty substantive information, and you were quick to cut him off at 3 minutes. What are you trying to hide?
Nothing.
Then why don't you want to listen to his input that he actually put? Let me finish. I guarantee he worked his butt off for that.
and you could at least give him a little bit of respect to sit there and present his information rather than shutting him up and telling him to get out of here.
And you get front talk whole time. You did.
I mean, it's mine with your tax dollars at work, and you ain't willing to sit there and listen to maybe save a penny or even consider it. I mean, I don't even know what he had to say. I just think it's disrespectful. I mean, to stick to 3 minutes when, I mean, that policy could probably save us thousands. I mean, I think it's worth listening to. I mean, heck, even if he cuts out one Ford F-250 Super Duty and replaces it with a sedan, you know how much money that'll save the city? It just doesn't seem like nobody's interested in hearing anything other than, I second. I mean,
You told me.
why don't you want to listen to what he had to say?
Yeah, I'll answer. Mr. Faruqi and I have emailed back and forth originally. I think he thought you were in my district, and we tried to email back and forth. We did, actually, several times. He sent a few emails this week about, actually, he came to the meeting last week, told us exactly what the issue was that he had this week. I asked questions this week, I think others did as well, about what his concerns were. We had back and
Sir, if
forth
I may
last
speak
week.
to my own concern, because
Sure.
you're making some assumptions,
Okay.
you answered those.
Can I answer his question first?
Within your ability, you did.
Sure. So then he came with his report that we have in front of us, and then he told us and went through it page by page, and I did feel like I tried to give it a good look and just disagreed with where he went with it, so.
Do you mind if he?
I haven't, that's perfectly fine.
You can get up there.
Yeah, let's open up the cauldron, which is just some facts.
No, you can do whatever you want to, sir. I appreciate it.
The last page, if you look at the recommendations. Now, what's not on that page, as which is not some of the facts which I found over the last week, I put in a request for an RFI. It went to some people here who responded very quickly within about 2-3 days. The answers that I got back in that RFI were incomplete. I asked for some further data, which I finally got this morning, which included my initial RFI said, what is the status of vehicles within the city? I got a partial listing, did not include police, did not include fire, did not include, I think, one other director, waste management. My RFI was very specific. Passenger vehicles. I got information about all kinds of sweepers and all kinds of weird things. This is a garbage in, garbage out response to an RFI requesting information to help you all make decisions. On page 3, recommendations. 130 vehicles in the city's inventory that were given to me to answer half of the question, because there's another 165 vehicles owned by police and fire. Only 12% of those, only 12 of those are sedans, vehicles, or SUVs. Police department runs a very tight ship because with their 165 vehicles, 154%, or 154 of them, which is 93% of their fleet, all of them are either fair or above. They're operating. In fact, they're operating very, very well. So what we have is a problem within the city to figure out how to cross-level vehicles, and do we have good doctrine, organization, training, materials, leadership, and personnel and facilities to manage this fleet within our city. I'm on 3 minutes, or am I on still is 3 minutes? Can I continue? Okay.
Yeah, just try to wrap it up.
The RFI process, I discovered, is a hindrance to transparency within our city because it is the equivalent of what I refer to as an anti-personnel munition. Anti-pursuant munition.
You're referring to like a freedom of information.
I'm referring to the RFI process the city runs.
Well, you need to talk to the state legislature and the Alabama Supreme Court, because that's right out of, that is the law. And we try to be as cooperative as we can, but the procedure that we set down is what the Alabama Supreme Court has prescribed as a process for you to receive public information as a citizen. And I'm familiar with the process that you had, and I understand it was a little bit more lengthy than you wanted, but we thought we responded fairly quickly.
Okay.
Yes.
The process that I went through was a spreadsheet that was available to every one of you, including the mayor. The information that I provided was all available to all of you, including the mayor. Every one of you went through and said, yay, 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 yay. Without the additional response or opportunity to talk about an additional $50,000 for a transit. 11 vehicles now, as I understand, for $590,000 or $490,000.
And that was for DYS that had a van go out this week.
So DYS apparently gets a bot.
They need that van
Yes.
to transport.
They do, I agree.
Yeah.
But there's also a bunch of other directorates pinpointed in that by directorate, as I went through every one of them, who probably need vehicles, maybe more.
And these, just so you know, when we went through our budget process, we've recently, thankfully, and I think it's a good thing, started, we mentioned this last week in the work session, but a process to better improve our fleet going forward. And so actually all these were part of our budget, that these vehicles would be replaced.
Okay, and my only response to that is, can we not replace them with something that would accomplish the mission at a cheaper cost?
Sure, I think we should do it at the most efficient cost and effectiveness possible, and I think we did.
I would disagree.
I understand.
The other response that I would like to talk about is applying a system of, again, doctrine, organization, et cetera. Doctrine is legal restrictions that are out there. Any written guidance that's out there, I would offer to you that the police department is the only organization I can find online, open source, without putting an RFI out, that says they have a policy for how police officers will operate their vehicles. I do not know if the other directorates within the city have a similar process or not.
Do you know that, Herman?
I'm sure there's a process, now whether it's, I'm sure.
I'm talking about things in the military, like a law.
I understand, I understand.
Yes.
The man that was here, Daniel Boutwell, I know he's got procedures as to how they take care of their vehicles. Now, I don't know every department, but that's a good question, and we can look into that.
Then under organization, the personnel to vehicle ratio and mission requirements, Parks and Rec, half of those vehicles are going to Park and Rec. Their personnel to vehicle ratio, as I understand it, is like, as I understand, I just talked to 19 personnel full-time on their staff, and they have 50 vehicles. So that's a lot of vehicles that's one for everybody to drive around? Question mark.
How many employees did you say?
He said 19.
No, there's
26 on the website, but there's 19.
way more.
Well, so the rest of them are all part-time employees.
Could be, but there's a lot more in Parks and Rec.
Okay, well, again,
That's a good question. And
should I put an RFI in for that too?
No, I think if we can find that information, I do want to point out though, to Justin's point, the points you made last week, I appreciate it, and we made those changes in what some of what was in the potential tow truck. So it's not that we're not listening, sometimes we just come to a different conclusion, and that's okay.
That's fine, my question was, could we do better? That's what I left off with last week, and my response to that is,
always,
yes, we can do that.
Yes.
All right.
And we do need to try, I'm not trying to cut you off, but
Well, it feels like it.
I've got to keep some sort of order to the meeting.
I'll be quicker then.
Thank you.
All right. City, under training, does the city have a program for training on vehicles, a handbook for employees, police do? Materials, looking at the resources and funding. Again, for me, my perspective, like that, we just spent another $50,000 without any debate or discussion. Leadership, guidance to the director. The man in the chair that's empty right now could provide some of that, or the august audience here could do the same. What we saw was not a demand for courses of action and how to use this money most efficiently. It was a spend plan, and I'm very familiar with that. Been in the Army 27 years. We do that a lot. That's not the way we should be doing business.
I appreciate your comments.
Now, personnel, is there enough or not enough? And then facilities, do we have enough or not enough? Again, a full spectrum look before we address a simple problem.
Thank you, Mr. Faruqi. Anything else from the council?
Yeah, I wanted to give my condolences to the Waller family. Kyle married into it. Pat was a former city councilwoman, served this city on council and school board, and just wanted to thank her for her service and let you know we're thinking about you guys.
Anything else from the council? All right, we'll stand adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you.
30 pounds of beer gets hot.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, what I was
No,
trying
go
to,
ahead, go ahead. I didn't mean to
trying
push.
to